I am first and foremost a son, a father, a brother, and a husband from a loving and supportive family.
Yeah, he wants you to remember he's a human being.
I'm proud to have earned degrees from Georgetown University and Yale Law School. I'm proud of my legal career.
And he went to all those elite institutions that no one can stand.
Serving on a dozen different boards of directors. And I'm proud of my efforts to forge global business relationships.
Oh, I'm proud of my foreign agent lobbying stuff that I didn't register for. I mean, really. All right, so we're pausing it there because that's just kind of bonkers, right? Like right now, already he's ticked everybody off because he wants you to know all the fancy schools he went to, which he probably didn't deserve to get into, let's be honest. And he's got this great career of trying to advance international relations. No, you had a great career trying to advance your own little pocket lines there, mister. Right? With $24 million allegedly that came into your family from all over the world, from China, Romania, Burisma, the Nat Gas company that's now pretty much defunct, that was bad news, and you were somehow in bed with those guys to the tune of $83,000 a month for what? Oh, we know. Devin Archer, he told us. Let's listen some more.
For 6 years.
Okay, wait. Sorry, I have to jump in again. Do you see the chorus of choir boys behind him there? What's that about? All those kids. Is that by design? Was that choreographed? Let's have the whole little group of Boy Scouts walking behind you, all dressed in their nice little coat and tie as you talk about what a stand-up guy you are, how you're a son, you're a father, you went to great schools. And then just miraculously, it's like the doves that come out, at the end of the wedding and they fly off. Miraculously, this little group of choir boys and girls starts to materialize, mostly boys, I can't see that well, but materialize there behind him, dressed in their coat and tie. Is that a coincidence? Probably. It's a heck of a one if you ask me. Or maybe they were offered the opportunity to walk right through that camera shot. I don't know. I just think it's interesting optics. Let's keep listening.
Including members of the House committees who are in a closed-door session right now, have impugned my character, invaded my privacy, attacked my wife, my children, my family, and my friends. They have ridiculed
because you're not fair game. Is that what you're trying to tell us, mister? You don't deserve to be fair game. Can you imagine, guys, can you just imagine? I want to know what you would think. I'm going to look in the comments here. If this were Trump Jr., right? Can you imagine if Don Jr. had any kind of set of facts that looked anything like what Hunter Biden has? How quickly, how aggressively, how horrendously the entire system would go after him. And this guy, this privileged punk thinks that somehow he's above it all and that he doesn't deserve this and that his dad is so great, his family is so great. And so what if he spent $688,000 over the course of 3 years, allegedly, reportedly, on various women? No, that doesn't matter. No, he's just a great guy and deserves a whole lot of praise for that. It gets worse. I got to play the whole thing for you. Let's keep listening.
My recovery, and they have tried to dehumanize me, all to embarrass and damage my father, who has devoted his entire public life to service. For 6 years, I have been the target of the unrelenting Trump attack machine, shouting, "Where's Hunter?" Well, here's my answer. I am here. Let me state as clearly as I can. My father was not financially involved in my business, not as a practicing lawyer, not as a board member of Burisma, not in my partnership with a Chinese private businessman, not in my investments at home nor abroad, and certainly not as an artist.
Let's listen a little more, if we can. I think that's the part where he's saying, right? I have no
During my battle with addiction
with my father.
My parents were there for me. They literally saved my life. They helped me in ways that I will never be able to repay. And of course, they would never expect me to. And in the depths of my addiction, I was extremely irresponsible with my finances. But to suggest that is grounds for an impeachment inquiry is beyond the absurd. It's shameless.
Yeah, you know what? You're shameless. I want to keep going. Because I want to compare and contrast this with Clinton.
There is no evidence to support the allegations that my father was financially involved in my business because it did not happen.
Boom! That's what I was looking for. Thank you very much. It didn't happen. Forget about it. There's no evidence because it didn't happen. My dad wasn't involved in my business. Period. End of story. Yeah. That's what he said, right? I do recall somebody else saying something kind of similar. Of course, he had the job that your dad now has. Can we cut to the memory lane there with Bill Clinton?
But I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never. These allegations are false.
Okay, they're just allegations. Didn't do it. You know what's amazing is how brilliantly these people learn to lie. They do that better than they do anything else, don't they? But again, we need a trial. We need an impeachment trial to be able to figure this all out. And I think the fact that he just blew off his subpoena, he can now actually be looking at something pretty serious, right? I mean, you can get in a lot of trouble for just blowing off Congress. You've been subpoenaed. You're supposed to show up. This guy thinks he's bigger and better than that, and that he doesn't have to be there. And this is, if you think back to even his father being asked about those January 6 people, whether or not they need to be at their subpoena, his father would have said yes, right? Because you have to show up for the subpoena. Otherwise, you can be held in contempt. Like there's certain rules. Law and order. Thank you very much, people. Let's go to Joe Biden. Another memory lane one from earlier in his administration. And he's being asked by a reporter who's now at CNN, I think she was then too, about what's going to happen if people don't show up for their subpoenas with those January 6th trials. Watch his response.
Congressional subpoenas on the January 6th committee.
I hope that the committee goes after them and holds them accountable.
Should they be prosecuted by the
I
Justice
do,
Department?
yes.
They should be prosecuted. No. I do think they should. I mean, this is kind of just what happens, right? Again, with law and order. But somehow, if you're part of the Biden family, it doesn't matter. Clinton family or any Democrat family, I guess somehow none of that really matters for you. This guy, Hunter Biden, is alleged to have been acting as a foreign lobbyist. He did not declare. By the way, he already signed off on that. His lawyers are trying to say, oh, wait a second, that plea deal, it's still in place, right? Like we thought that was in place. No, guys, the judge said this doesn't make any sense. She ripped it up. You said the plea deal was over. So you know what? You are going back to square one. And when you go back to square one, it means we're looking at all those allegations, which you already signed off on, by the way. And those are serious. You admitted you didn't pay your taxes. I mean, you can't just not declare your income and think you can get away with not paying the IRS. For goodness sakes, your own father's trying to go after all the nickels and dimes he can in everybody's couch cushions. And yet you are getting away with not declaring millions of dollars in income. I mean, that is atrocious. And by the way, I'm just saying, he's already admitted to that one. Right out there. I mean, that was on the table. So don't look at me or America and say that you're not doing anything wrong. I'm getting sick and tired of it. And I'm sick and tired of the fact that they've lied to us and lied to us and lied to us. Going right back to the election, I do want to play this clip. This is from the debate. I think Chris, what's his name, that used to be at Fox, was hosting this. I don't even know where he is now. Anyway, he had this debate, and Trump starts going after Biden for all of the stuff that we are now learning in great detail was true. And I say that because, you know what? Hunter admitted some of this stuff in the original plea deal. And Joe Biden says, no, not the case. Watch this. It's epic. Trump totally takes him down. Let's take a look at this clip.
It's an open discussion, please.
No, it's a fact.
Well, you have raised an issue. Let the Vice President answer.
Discredited.
Did
Burisma
pay
him $183,000
a
month with no experience in energy?
Mr. President,
my son did nothing wrong at Burisma.
I think he did.
Mr. President, let him answer.
He doesn't want to let me answer because he knows I have the truth. His position has been totally, thorouly discredited.
By
who?
The media.
By everybody. Well, by the media, by our allies, by the World Bank, by everyone has discredited. Matter of fact, even the people who testified under oath.
So let me ask you this.
No, go ahead, Mister. I'm listening to you.
People under.
He got $3.5 million from Moscow.
He testified under oath.
Yeah, he testified under. He's trying to also cite like the 51 spooks that came out. You know, the former deputy director of the CIA, who got a whole bunch of his friends together, a bunch of political hacks and ex-spies. And they signed off on this thing that said, no, the FBI wasn't investigating Hunter Biden's laptop, when it turned out, yes, the FBI was investigating Hunter Biden's laptop. And they were investigating a whole lot. Meanwhile, now Congress, they're going to be investigating a lot. Marjorie Taylor Greene making the point that she was really kind of disappointed that she didn't get to ask about all those women. Do we have the graphic? I think this was courtesy of the government, actually. They were looking at his spending, and you could see, I mean, he spent like nearly $200,000 on adult entertainment. And then this one gets me. Payments, various women. That's all it says. Payments, various women. Over the course of 3 years, $683,000, nearly $700,000 payments to various women. I mean, who is he? What is he doing? None of that is good. And apparently they were going across state lines. So, you know, you really want to get into the weeds on this stuff. There's something called the Mann Act, no pun intended, but that alone could be pretty incriminating. It's something that came up on Capitol Hill today. MTG bringing up the issue. Let's listen.
I would like to have asked Hunter Biden about Mann Act violations. Sex trafficking women across state lines.
Thank you all very much. Thank you.
That would have been a good question. You don't seem to care about that, though.
Would have been a good question, yeah. Look, he's making things worse for himself. The reality is this. Politics is a nasty, dirty business, right? Like, it's just, we know that. It's awful. It's gross. It's part of the problem we have, right? Who the heck wants to run for president knowing that you're exposing yourself and your family to all of this nastiness? But then again, most people don't live lifestyles like this where they're spending $683,000 on, quote, various women, or nearly $200,000 on adult entertainment. I mean, this is what you might call alternative living. And if you're going to engage in this alternative lifestyle where you do things like that and you don't pay your taxes, then guess what, ladies and gentlemen, you probably shouldn't have a dad that's president of the United States of America or a parent that is a politician in any way, shape, or form, because they will figure this out. Again, just imagine if it was Don Jr. At this point, you know, he can't even help himself. He's his own worst enemy, Hunter Biden, that is. And I love it. You know what? The Congress is not having it. They're going to hold him in contempt. Watch Jim Jordan here. He said it today.
He didn't show up. I mean, he was just across the way at the Capitol. You think he could have come here and sat for questions? You do it in an open format now, you're going to get filibusters, you're going to get speeches, you're going to get all kinds of things. What we want is the facts, and the way you get the facts, and every single investigation I've been involved in, is you bring people in for an interview behind closed doors where you can get those facts. And then, as the chairman said, we'd love for him to come public. Finally, I would say this. Mr. Biden's counsel and the White House have both argued that the reason he couldn't come for a deposition was because there wasn't a formal vote for an impeachment inquiry. Well, that's going to happen in a few hours. We think it's going to pass. We think the House of Representatives will go on record with the power that solely resides in the House to say we are in an official impeachment inquiry phase of our oversight. And when that happens, we'll see what their excuse is then. They should have been here today, but once we take that vote, we expect him to come in for his interview, for his deposition. And frankly, we'll also, I think, look at contempt proceedings as we move forward.
Wow. So, like I said, this kid, older than me, and I just had a birthday today, he could well be going to jail because this is not a good set of facts. Everybody went after Trump and he said, hey, why not just like play ball? I mean, they're being jerks, right? But you're making it worse sometimes when you don't turn over what they need, etc. This is what Hunter's doing. He's like trying to out-Trump the system, and it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Certainly not for him. Unbelievable stuff. So I would not be surprised if in a fairly short amount of time you find Hunter Biden on his way to jail. And you see his dad getting caught up in the political scandal of a century. You cannot ignore Congress on this. There is enough evidence. And although the left will try and present it differently, we certainly are hearing this over and over again. In fact, looking at the New York Times today, the way that they're categorizing this, the way that they're headlining this, saying, oh, there's no evidence. And I'm like, wait a second, have you guys not actually looked at the financial records? Take a look at them. When you see those financial records, you can't help but say, well, why is all this money coming from these foreign sources and going into these various LLCs? Why would there be money going from the LLC into Joe Biden's personal bank account? They'll tell you, oh, loan repayment. That's what it was. Well, you don't like mix and match like that. This is like accounting 101 stuff. Your personal is your personal, your LLC is your LLC. And if you can't figure that out, buddy, then, what are you doing as president of the United States of America, Joe Biden? Especially knowing that you wanted to run for president. I mean, you'd think you'd be dotting the I's and crossing the T's like nobody's business unless you just say and think, the rules don't apply to me. And clearly that's what this guy thinks. The rules don't apply to him. I mean, they never have. So why should they now? They're just going to sit there with a straight face like AOC did today. Watch this clip right here. This woman is just doing their bidding. She's got some kind of deal, and she wants to say that there's no evidence, despite the fact that there's more than 70 SARS suspicious activity reports filed with the Treasury Department. All American banks saying, what the heck is going on with these accounts? Yet AOC does this. Let's play this one.
Not only is the committee not allowing Hunter Biden to testify publicly, but they have not called a single witness, a single first-hand witness to any of their allegations.
Hunter wouldn't go.
They haven't allowed anybody to testify publicly because they do not have a single witness to any of their alleged allegations. They don't.
So to set the record straight on that one, guys, Devin Archer, remember what he has said and he told us, actually courtesy of Tucker Carlson, who he did an interview with shortly after he spoke to Congress. He admitted they had a business, and the business was selling the Biden brand. That's what they were doing, and they never registered as foreign agents, foreign lobbying agents. So that in and of itself is illegal, which is why, by the way, there were more than 70 suspicious activity reports filed with Treasury. Like, that's a rare thing to get. Just to explain that for a second, because when your bank actually thinks it's a big enough deal that they have to file with Treasury, that's not good. That's not good. So we've seen the financial records. We've heard from Devin Archer. We have heard from the various IRS investigators. They're like, what just happened, right? All those whistleblowers that came forward and said they couldn't understand why they couldn't move forward with this case. There's a lot of corruption here. And they're going to double down and just say, nothing to see here. It's nothing but a MAGA conspiracy. I think not, guys. I think you got a big darn problem. And you're not going to be able to wiggle your way out of it. You have been found out. And it's high time, because you know what? That office should not be for sale. And the kids should not be collecting money to do any kind of quote unquote foreign lobbying. And this one, certainly, who had no business experience and no acumen for any of this, should not have been doing that. That was very clearly an access play. And that's why we need the trial. And we're going to get it. This impeachment inquiry, mark my words, that's happening. That's going to be launched. They are going to proceed forward with the contempt, being held in contempt of Congress, refusing to show up for your subpoena. Hunter Biden, it's over. And you're making it so much worse for your dad. Awful.